Okay, excellent. We are in business. So yesterday, obviously, I put up the trade review very early this morning, and we had monster upness. And so there's a couple things that I want to look at coming into the morning. So first of all, the white zone. Let's discuss that for a second. I'm going to put a micro white zone right before we open, somewhere up here, to kind of give us the over/under in this area. I haven't calculated it yet, but really we don't have a strong area of support until the 1781 all the way down to 1770, 1775, and I guess including 1785. There's just we auctioned through it so quickly. Give me just a second. Let me get the volume profiles up here real quick, and everyone can see this. We traded through this area. We traded through this area so quickly that there's nothing here. Usually, what will happen is that all of this will get filled back in. You can't see. Hold on one second. Got that. All of this area from here all the way down to here was auctioned terribly. Okay, and so what the market's going to want to do naturally is come back in at some point and fill this back in, much as it did here, right? Where we have a void, like here, there's a void. It wants to come back in and fill this void, okay, and re-auction it. It's done it. Unfortunately, it didn't do a very good job here, and it didn't do a very good job here. And generally, if you look at a bigger picture, what this means, right? If we can pass through an area easily, like we did here, we passed through very easily from here to here. Generally speaking, on the way up, generally speaking, on the way back down, the problem is we can also pass through that same area. This is how we pass through it very quickly with very little volume here. We can pass through just as quickly on the way back down, right? And so that's the danger. If you'll notice on days where we've had big up days, we've had these big long extensions before, right? We tend to get hung up with balance days the following days, and then one or two patterns tends to happen, right? We either come back in and slowly fill back in. Let me see if I can pull a little bit more back so people can see this more clearly. When we have areas that are thinly auctioned, this is a good example as well again, right? Where this was thinly auctioned the first time. Let me erase that old stuff. This was thinly auctioned the first time on the way up, okay? So on the way back down, that exact same area was thinly auctioned again. It fell through very easily. You'll notice very little volume was here until we got to the very bottom of this. Then the volume picked back up, okay? We had the exact same scenario again yesterday. This area is still very poorly auctioned right in here. Everything from just below 1793 all the way down to about 1787 is still poorly auctioned. To give you a past history of scenarios of what that can look like, right? We can have this area here where we auctioned up through it and we were poorly auctioned, and it almost never came back to test. It dipped back in slightly and consolidated, right? But we never really retested until just recently. We filled it in over here, and then we tried to fill it in just a little bit right down to here, and you'll see that's where we found support in this area last time, right? That was the overnight 24-hour session, okay? So we have this exact same whole area. What that means in this area is one of two things. Either we'll quickly reject out of this area when we get down here, we'll find buyers very quickly, or choice B, we pass through very quickly down into our support area. In this particular case, we really don't have a lot of support till we get below 1780 again, right? And that would be a backside test of this downtrend line that still exists. Okay, so try to visualize this and carry it over to the chart, because I'm talking bigger picture here on how to get set up for the day, right? So when I look at this, I go through one or two scenarios. I think the more likely scenario over the next couple of days is that we get big balance ranges like this, right? And I don't think we'll trade back down through. The reason why I don't think we'll trade back down through is we have Christmas coming up, and volume gets very thin. And so remember, there's never more sellers than buyers. They're always equal. The question is, who's more aggressive? As the market gets thinner and thinner, it's pretty easy to see that the buyers, right, particularly yesterday, have been more aggressive. And over on NQ, I've been harping on this for a couple of days. While it has been weak intraday, let me switch over to that chart really quick. Let's see if I can fit here. Okay, let's erase all of this. Let's get rid of all of this. When we look at the NQ daily, okay, I had pointed out in this area, right, that while ES had been coming down, let me show this again. In this period, in this same period of time, when NQ was pushing new highs, ES went flat. If you look at it, it kind of looked like this, while NQ was pushing higher. Okay. In this area where we had all these, see all these closes where we're closing near or at the lows repeatedly, day after day, right, through this whole period of time. Yes, we were closing on the lows, but if you look, this is the bottom of the balance area, this 3450, which I've been highlighting for days now on NQ, right? And we have held the bottom of that balance area on NQ repeatedly. So this was an attempted break on the news, right? They were trying to break, and they were trying to get down to the top of the prior balance area, which was 3400. They obviously failed in doing that. They got to this little mini support area, okay? And so what that tells me is, right, a lot of pressure built up in this very small area, okay? So one of two scenarios. Either all this pressure released and we had range extension here that's about to fail, and we come right back down into the support area and shop around again. Or, choice B, these are just consolidating. Everyone who wanted to get out got out here, and we have renewed energy back to the upside. If we look at the, let me take a look real quick where we're trading right now. Both NQ and ES are trading off of their lows. The low is 1795. We're right below 1799 with about 12 minutes left to go, right? So if I was going to make a mistake on the side of who's going to have more strength, I'm going to make the mistake on the side of the bears having more strength. First of all, they haven't had any strength with the exception of the last 5 days on ES and NQ. There's been no real push down, right? And what they really needed was for the Fed to say they were tapering. They didn't say they were tapering, and apparently no one cared about it either way. And so I'm going to make a mistake of the bulls having more strength than the bears, which means that I'm going to give the upside a lot more room before I get aggressive on the short side. Initially, this is what I'm thinking coming in, right? And I'm going to try to push my longs a little bit higher and look for pushes higher, right? Even the push down overnight to 1795, halfway of this move, right? The bottom of this move is 62, right? The top of the move was approximately 06. That's 44 points. A 22-point pullback would be halfway. That would put us from 06, let's see, that's 96, 86 on, excuse me, that's on the ES. So let's jump back over there real quick. My brain goes faster than my mouth, actually most of my life. So, and again, that's the case. Let's see this here real quick. The ES daily, here we go. Let's trash this. Okay, let's start that process one more time. We look at the high, which is roughly 06. Okay, we look at the low, which was roughly 61. And so that's roughly 43 points. Let's just call it 42 points. So 21 points back from 06. 10 points back puts us at 96, roughly. 21 puts us roughly at 86-ish, right in here, right? So if we can't even get halfway back today or at any point, that would just be a normal consolidation for a push higher, right? Now, if we're very strong, we won't get more than 10 back. If we're relatively strong, we will get that 20 back and then test higher. Anything is possible, but my guess is now that we're heading into the end of the year and we're also going to be looking at things like window dressing from hedge funds and mutual funds, right? They're going to want to keep these prices up. Now, I could be completely wrong about this, but this is the theory I'm going with. That unless I see us get back below this 1780, all the way down here, and really we need to get beneath this structure right here, okay? This key area right here. If we can't get back below this, the bull case has no strength whatsoever, no zero zip. Even a pullback, you can say, well, that's 25 points or 30 points. Sure. But what you're going to find is, in this case, is that your shorts, while looking very fast and nice if you can catch them, right, we're probably going to go into fast down and slow grind up with punctuated by punches higher, right, at the end of the day. That's a typical normal holiday pattern. Is just that everyone comes in at the end of the day, the shorts that are trying to push down. And so let's apply this to what we think might be able to happen. First, let's take a look at the overnight trading patterns here real quick. And I know that I'm running just a drop late. It's 8:22. I'm going to try to get done beforehand, but if you have to drop off, I totally understand. Not a problem. See if we can do this here real quick. Okay, so this is from yesterday. Let's get rid of all the drawings and pull them over here real quick. Excuse me, someone's calling. All right. Okay. So let's continue. We see these were the trend lines that I was talking about from yesterday, right? We can see where we failed to break the first time. We came up, they tried to push on resistance. This is on NQ, right? We've pushed up, we did the backside trend line, and we've taken off. So if we look overnight, right, and where we're trading right now, daily, what you should have is a trend line to see where we're matching up in charts. If you're using a 500-tick chart, which I ask my clients to use, right, on NQ, okay, and your trend line should look something like this, okay, coming in. So that means we have to get below before there's any damage. There will be, because we'll be opening right below this 3,500 level. It'll be key on NQ that we get above 3,500, and we're right now trading at 3,495. If we can't get back above 3,500, right, there's certainly going to be room back down to the downside. Your structure areas, okay, and I know I haven't covered this a lot, but again, I do this primarily for the benefit of my clients. Everyone else is welcome to join in, right? So if we look at the structure environments, this area is going to provide structure, followed by, really, I would say this area right here, okay? So that's what I'm looking at on NQ for possible reversal points. I would want this, if we somehow get back down to 3480, right, I would expect responsive buyers in between 3480 and 3475 the first time, and would probably take a shot to the long side with trailers on NQ. If we look at ES, and let's look at the 24-hour on ES, right? This is off a 1450 tick chart. Okay, we have this channel that started all the way back here, okay? It's been for quite a while, and it's provided a general area of support. Remember when I talked about channels and trend lines, they can be respected. Like right here, you see we rejected and found support off of this general area repeatedly. Yesterday was a great example, right? But they can be broken at will. There's no rule. They're guidelines. You had to find areas of support around that, right? So this morning, we came right down to this 1795 on this trend line, right? And we obviously held. So I would expect us to hold above, an attempt to hold above 1795. Below 1795 brings up 1785. The reason why I reference that is if we go back to our chart now, okay, that would pull us right into initial support and right at the bottom of that channel, okay? And I would expect responsive buyers the first time down. But I'm looking, I want to be clear with everyone on this, okay? I'm looking for support all the way through this, really from 1785 all the way down to 1775. On a micro level, obviously you can be able to day trade it, but I am looking for swings to the long side in this level. And let me highlight that so everyone can see it. Everything from 1785 all the way down here, I'll be looking for a swing long out of that, okay? Obviously, this 95 at level, Globex low, right? So let's think about the structure in the day and what has to happen. If we open here at 1800, right, which is right in here, okay? Our possible scenarios are, obviously, it would make sense that we back test that 1795, right? Now, if we blow through that 1795 without pause, right, I would look for something like this. We come in, I would expect if we blow through that the first time back, right, I would expect to see responsive buyers for a move back lower, okay? And I would expect at that 1790, we would find responsive buyers at least for a 2-point trade the first time in. The other thing I want to look at is, right, what's the size of my stretch? Now, we just had a 40-point day yesterday, so I'm going to add one more point to my usual 6 points. Instead of 6, I'm going to look for a 7-point rotation, right? So if we open up at 1799 and I want a 7-point rotation down, again, this is if I'm not an ultra-aggressive trader, just normal, aggressive, good trade location, right? That's going to put me right down at the 1792 level. And assuming we open here in 3 minutes, this is the first place I'm going to be looking for a long. If I'm very aggressive and I'm willing to accept the risk of a loss, I might take a shot at Globex lows first time in. On the upside, right, we open up at 1799. It's going to give us a beautiful shot right into the back and right into Globex highs, okay? Now, what are the risks that we're going to be measuring for off the open, in particular the first half hour, right? First, I'm going to be looking for the strength of the tick. I'm going to be looking for open drive. If my first 3 candles are solid green up or solid red down, right, I'm going to be cautious of a trend day in one direction or another, right? And my whole thesis can get blown out of the water. We can go straight down into the white zone, close down there, and have a massive negative day, right, and still have overall buyers in control. So keep that in mind. The other scenario is, right, we come up, we open drive higher, we get above initial resistance to new highs, right? I want to give that a big fat stretch before I try to fight that into initial resistance. And you'll notice initial resistance is a bigger stretch than usual. What else am I going to want to look for? What are going to be my signs for a short in this area? Tick divergence, as demonstrated in that video that I posted when I was doing the pre-Fed release, right? You saw in real time how tick divergence can often mark exactly the low of where that market's going to be. If you can get that combined with trade location, right, only at the zones, right, it's often a very high odds trade and great trade location, okay? Again, all I'm looking for is 2 points. Everything else is frosting on the cake. So first scenario is we come in, we test Globex lows, we come back up, and then we can come back up and we can just balance all day, right? That's balance scenario. Second one that I think is also probable is to the downside is failed range extension. We push back below 1795, either into 92 or into any of these 3 areas, right? And then we get a rebound up and back above Globex lows. Now, I talk about a trap trade quite often, right? If we can break below Globex lows and close back above, there's a good chance we will test all the way back to the other side of Globex high, right? Same thing on the upside. If we break out, okay, come back in and close back below Globex highs and we hold, very good chance we test to the other end of the range. And so at any rate, we're about to open. I think those are the scenarios I'm looking for, primarily 7 to 10 point rotations today. First touch in the zone, right? My primary target is always 2 points, and I might make a decision based on where we're opening. I might make a decision based on where that trade location is as to whether I'm taking the whole trade off the books or leaving a trailer, but I'm always taking a big chunk off. Anyways, I hope this helped people out, and we shall talk later. Have a great day, guys. I'll be back shortly before noon. I'm off to the doctor's office. Have a great day.